You've got a top athlete in your midst today, or at least on your radio. Jane Larkin, Merredin Plains local on the Sunshine Coast. Jane's a former national level Australian sprinter who, after retiring from athlete, has made quite the remarkable transition into the entertainment industry. She's now had speaking roles in major productions, Ron Howard's 13 Lives, Netflix's Boy Swallows Universe, Darby and Joan, and she's now written, directed and starred in her own feature film about hers and others' lives as elite sportswomen. The film's called The Edge. It's having its world premiere at the Gold Coast Film Festival on May 2 and puts the Sunshine Coast front and centre. Jane Larkin, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you.
This is like quite the kickoff to going from I'm going to be an elite sprinter to now I've got a speaking role in Boy Swallows Universe and Ron Howard films. How'd you do that? Why?
There are some precedents. I really grew up idolising Arnold Schwarzenegger and The Rock. They went from sport to the world of film and TV too, and I always said I wanted to be like them, but I guess the female, hopefully, version of that. But I think they're both performance-based careers. Like you really have to get out there and, put it all on the line, and I loved them both, and I saw storytelling in a sports sense, kind of the natural progression, even though it might be an unusual one.
Yeah, so that takes us nicely to your film, The Edge. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Edge is about 3 female elite athletes, and I grew up idolising, obviously, all these sports films. I remember the Titans, Chariots of Fire, but they all had male, protagonists. So this is about a Japanese Paralympic swimmer. It's about an Aussie Japanese Paralympic swimmer, did I say that right? And then a First Nations powerlifter. So the 3 girls all live together, train together. They, have their personal struggles and their struggles in sport.
Right. So then, what is it? This could be just kind of a story about 3 people from different disciplines just living together, but you're trying to get at something deeper there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's open to interpretation, but I really want people to see that, athletes, we often just see them at their peak and they're like performance robots, but they're people too. And so I am trying to showcase that they have, lives outside of what their, athletic endeavours may be. And I didn't want to fall into this trap of there's one female athlete stereotype. I wanted there to be, really 3-dimensional characters and really different characters across the disciplines, and that's why we get to follow all 3 of the girls.
Right, so you've got Liesl Jones and Sally Pearson in there, both Olympic gold medalists. So that's those are names that would be pretty well recognised. You've got Riley Day and Paralympians my Inchinos and our very own Braden Jason, who's out in the
I waved to him earlier this morning.
Braden was telling me an interesting story. He was initially going to be playing a character role in the film. It then got written out due to COVID.
Yeah, I really wanted authentically, Paralympic characters to be in the film as much as possible. And so, knowing Braden and May Ichinose, who obviously trained out at the uni of the Sunshine Coast along with me, I was in the athletics department, they were in the swimming department. It was sort of like a West Side Story, Jets and Sharks. It wasn't at all. We were all very friendly. But yeah, I really wanted him to be a part of that. But it is a big commitment with training. And I mean, COVID was just another spanner in the works. I can't believe how long ago we started that journey. But yeah, that was, really disruptive to the filming process.
Now, these are all people who the thing that they've trained in is the sport that they're very good at.
Yes.
So going from that into acting, how did you manage that?
I very much saw the transition as, I wanted to take everything that I'd learned from sport and implement that in film and TV. So, I trained for it. I took every class I could. I researched. I practiced every day. And I figured, I was talented enough. But if I, applied the discipline that I'd learned in sport, hopefully I could achieve things. And I'm very determined when I want to be. And so I think I applied that to the film, but also just to acting in general.
Yeah, so that's obviously worked out pretty well for you, but then you're also dragging Sally Pearson and Lisa Jones and Riley Day and Braden into that behind you as well. How did you go? Did you have to spend much time coaching them?
I called in a lot of favors. I think I assured them that it would only be like a day. I'm like, look, you pretty much just have to do what you always do, like Liesl and Braden, you commentating, you're good at that sort of thing. Let's get you in here. I think Riley was like, really, I have to do this many runs for obviously like a single scene, and I was like, yes. But it's okay. It'll just be one intense day. And I think they were like, all right, Jane. But they were all champions. Sally, like Riley, they were all amazing. Good on them for coming down and lending some authenticity to the project.
Yeah. Now, this film was, well, The Edge was filmed entirely on the Sunshine Coast around the University of the Sunshine Coast. Is that something that you were planning to do? Did COVID play a role in that?
I very much felt like the Sunshine Coast as a region was almost a character. I mean, I grew up here, great sporting facilities. I did my doctorate and a couple of the other degrees out at the Uni SC. Just really loved the facilities and wanted it to be here. I was lucky enough to get council support, and the uni let us shoot here too, which was amazing. So it was like, whether it was COVID or not, I think it was just important to me to keep it true to its roots, which was Australian, which was regional, which was Sunshine Coast.
Yeah. There is a very strong sporting community here on the Sunshine Coast and more broadly. I mean, obviously you'd be hoping the film will go down well with the critics and everything when it screens at the Gold Coast Film Festival. But are you getting much buzz within the athletics community around Queensland?
Trying to. I've reached out, obviously, to Queensland Athletics and Athletics New South Wales. I mean, Lynchy, who runs it, Matt Lynch, he actually commentates in the film too, because, again, I called in all my favours. But obviously the athletics community's been very busy lately with the recent nationals. Some amazing performances there. So I think we're trying to hype up in the lead up to the Gold Coast Film Festival and then, beyond.
All right. Jane Larkin, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck. I hope the screening at the Gold Coast Film Festival goes amazing. I'm sure it will.
Thank you. Yeah, 2 May, get your tickets still.
All right, fantastic. That's Jane Larkins, a former Australian national level Australian sprinter, and the writer, director, and star of The Edge.